Hi, I'm Deb Rny. Haven't been here for a while, but I wanted to make a video for my 1 year surgiversary for anybody that's looking for the good and the bad to go with that. On January 29th, 2016, I had my original seminar for bariatric surgery. I weighed 330 pounds. On July 7th, 2016, I had my surgery. There was a 6-month waiting period with my insurance where I had to go to support group meetings and see pulmonologists, psychologists, all the regular, ordinary things. On the date of surgery, I weighed 285 pounds. On July 13th, I was away from my actual 1 year surgiversary date, but on July 13th, when I returned, I weighed 179.4. That's down 105.6 pounds since surgery and 150.6 pounds total. I've now lost a couple more pounds. I'm down 152. That's just amazing to me. When I lose 13 more pounds, if I lose 13 more pounds, that means I'll be half my weight. Half my weight. It's a miracle. I can't say often enough. I know I say it every video. I can't help it. It's a miracle. I did not take my measurements before I lost any weight. I had already lost 30 pounds before I took my measurements the first time, but I took my measurements when I came back from vacation. I have lost 82.5 inches. 82.5 inches. And oddly enough, that's 15 inches from my chest, 15 inches from my waist, and 15 inches from my hip. And if anybody is halfway there and getting a little discouraged about where the weight's being lost from, in October, when I took my measurements, I had lost like maybe, I forget now, 7 or 8 inches in my chest, but I know it was 9 inches in my waist and 6 inches in my hips. So eventually that all caught up, and I've lost pretty well rounded. I want to get some of the official things out of the way. I still have numbness in the left hand in the outer 2 or 3 fingers. I'm assuming it's some kind of pinched nerve. I've had back pain in the upper left side, and the last time I went to physical therapy, they suggested, the lady there suggested that maybe they're connected. Some sort of pinched nerve or something. So eventually, if physical therapy doesn't help, I've been twice to physical therapy for 2 months at a time. They said it's quite usual for people that have lost more than 100 pounds to have back pain because your center of gravity is different, you're walking different, you need to learn to walk different, so they weren't surprised about the pain. I cannot take tramadol, which is the medication that my surgeon recommends that you take if Tylenol's not enough. And let's face it, folks, Tylenol's really not enough. If you have a fever, Tylenol's good. Otherwise, it's crap. It helps nothing. Tramadol gives me horrible, horrible pain, like I think I'm having a heart attack. And for a long time, I didn't know if it was tramadol or something else, but it only happens with tramadol. If I take half a pill with food, I'm fine. If I take another half a pill in 30 minutes with food again, I have terrible pain. So, don't take tramadol. I am back on Enbrel, which is the medication I was taking for my arthritis. My rheumatologist didn't want me to stop at all. He said skinny people get arthritis too, and that I was going to be in trouble if it really flared up, because I can't take anything really to help it. So I am back on the Enbrel. I've been, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months. I have no concept of time, but I've been back on it for a while now, and that seems to be helping the arthritis. Food, let's talk about food and alcohol. I still have not had alcohol. I wasn't much of a drinker to begin with. I had, I was when I was in the Marines, but for the last, 20 years, if I have 1 drink a month, that's something. So I have not had alcohol at all. I really haven't had an occasion to. When I do, I'll make sure the first time that I'm not driving, just to make sure. But I don't really need it. So sorry for anybody that's looking for information about alcohol. I'm still eating Halo Top. Somebody remarked once that if I can put those calories in my day if I can afford them and I have the protein already, then why not? So I do. I have Halo Top quite often. I have pita chips. I have Nature's Promise white cheddar puffs. Surprisingly enough, that's a soft food that I can't eat a lot of. I don't know, usually like chips you could eat forever, which I don't eat. I've had maybe 15 potato chips a snack off of somebody's eating something and I take one. I did notice that one day at work I had, they had I don't know what it was for, Easter maybe, they had a bunch of food. And I had baked beans, strawberries. I had potato salad for the first time. I also had potato knishes, which I had never had before, which were, by the way, fantastic. I noticed that I felt full longer from having a real meal like that with real food with some substance. I don't do that often. Lunch is usually chicken soup or a salad, and although I do try to get the wedge salad, so at least I get some bacon in there. But usually it's soup. I have pinto beans, a can of pinto beans, which I take to work just in case, for whatever reason, I need to have something else for lunch. I have that. Once in a while, I take chicken salad. But it's a quarter, it's 4 ounces of chicken salad. I'm still really on the same schedule most of the time, where I have a protein shake for breakfast, yogurt 3 hours later for a snack, lunch at 2. I have two light mozzarella sticks, cheese sticks at 5. And then for dinner, 95% of the time, I have lettuce with chicken and cheese or bacon for the salad. And I like to have salad because you can eat a lot of it, and then that way I'm not as tempted to snack the rest of the night. That's how I feel. But like I said, I did notice that when I have food, which I do every once in a while, have real food, I do feel full longer. But I'm okay with having the snacks. So I also, when I was on vacation, I had pasta for the first time ever. I was at I went on a bus trip. I flew to Oregon, but I was on a bus trip overnight, and the food choices were limited. They had meatballs, which were not that good, but I did need something else, and I did have pasta. Not a lot, because you can't eat a lot. It didn't bother me. I'm a Dairy Queen freak. I love Dairy Queen. And there's none on Long Island, or if there are, they're so far away that I don't know where they are, and I'm going to keep it that way. Thank you very much. But while I was away, there was a Dairy Queen, so I said, you know what? Let's go try it. Let's get one close to the house of the lady I was staying at, close to her house. So if I had issues, I'd be home. I had no problems the first time. What I have is kind of like a banana split with no bananas. It's ice cream, chocolate, strawberry, and pineapple. Come on, none of that's really all that bad for me if you don't have it all the time. But so I had that the day before my Surgiversary, and then I left the day, like 2 days after I flew back, and I said, you know what, let's go again. So we went again, and that time it didn't sit so well. My friend that I was with said, remarked that my stomach was making a lot of noise, which it did. Nothing bad ever happened, but it did make a lot of noise. So, luckily I'm not having that anymore. I've had pizza maybe, I don't know, 5 times since the surgery. So I really stick to what I'm supposed to stick to. And I think that's why I'm as successful as I've been. I still have my alarm set on my phone when to take my vitamins. I take calcium citrate twice a day, a multivitamin twice a day, B12, and I'm still taking biotin. As you can see, my hair is coming back not too bad. I got it chopped off, but I'm pleased now with my hair. My hairdresser also said that she had noticed, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, that whenever she had clients that had diabetes, that she could tell that their hair was thinner on top. So maybe the fact that my A1C is now 5.4 instead of 11, that could have something to do with my hair getting better. But whatever, I'm not changing it. Okay, now let's talk about the NSV since the surgery. I have to say I am just so much happier. I get around so much better. Walking up and down the stairs is a breeze now. I don't even think. I know I mentioned this before about I used to walk like a toddler, put one foot on a step, and then put the same foot on the step because the hips hurt, the knees hurt, the ankles hurt, everything hurt. Now I don't even really think about it. I walk down the stairs like up and down like a normal person. At work, somebody came into my job, and I'm in a little office at the end, and before me, they hit another person in my office, and they peeked into the office and then went out to her and said, "What happened to Deb?" She said, "That is Deb." And then they came in and they were shocked. And that happens all the time that people come in and say something to me about how great I look and how much weight I've lost. It's always nice to hear, and I've learned to say thank you. Um, I used to say, because I'm not secretive about the fact that I had surgery, so I used to say, people would say, "How'd you do it?" And I would say I had gastric bypass. Now I say I had gastric bypass, and I work really hard at it. I eat right and I exercise. Um, I got both my legs and one pants leg of my old jeans. It's really, I'll put a picture at the end. Granted, they're a lot tighter on the one leg than they were on two, but come on. I switched into the overweight category, not obese anymore. I'm now overweight. I think I have to lose well, now it's probably 20 more pounds to be normal. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's a lot of weight, but whatever. I'm still losing. Um, when I was on vacation, I flew to Sisters, Oregon. There's a big, New Jackie 33 will know this. There's a big quilt show there in Sisters, Oregon, where they hang everything outside. It's hung from the buildings, from clotheslines. Every store has them. They shut the town down, and you walk back and forth. Now, I never ever would have done that before. I know I would have been miserable. I wouldn't even have wanted to walk from where the bus stopped to wherever the beginning was. That's how bad it was. But um, I decided to treat myself because I knew I'd be fine, and I was fine. When I got dropped off at the airport, I had 2 hours to wait. I walked. I had 6,000 steps before I even got on the airplane. Um, I I'll put a picture too. I used to have to ask for a seatbelt extender and hope it would even be big enough. And now I didn't have to ask for one, and there's 8 or 10 inches of seatbelt hanging. I sat next to a very tall, thin gentleman, whose knees, so tall that his knees were hitting the seat in front of him. And he was remarking about how the planes used to have more space and that he's tall and it was uncomfortable. And I said, well, be glad this wasn't, a year and a half ago, because then you'd be getting it from the side too. I went to, let's also talk about the airport. At the TSA on the way back, I was in Portland, and instead of the scanner where you take off your shoes and you just walk through, for some reason, who knows, I was sent through the other one where you raise your arms and they x-ray you. I don't know what the reasoning is, whatever, don't care. So when I got through, she said, "Could you please step over here? I'm going to have to pat you down." Now, I haven't flown in about 5 or 6 years, so I had looked up to see what could happen, so I wasn't surprised that she said that. And then she said, "See all the areas that are dark on the scan? That's where I need to pat you down." And I said, "I lost 150 pounds. Do you think that might be extra skin?" And she goes, "Nah, I don't think so. I think it's at your clothes. It's your clothes." Well, guess what? My clothes are the same. I was wearing jeans. They're the same everywhere. So when I got back, I have a friend who's a doctor, who's the husband's a doctor, and he said, yes, that extra skin shows up as a shadow, and congratulations on the extra skin, he said. Okay. Yes, congratulations on the extra skin. But when I had told a friend about this, that that I thought it was the skin when I got back, she said, "Well, they must have other people that go through those scanners that lost skin. Maybe, but maybe not that much, and maybe not that lady, and maybe they didn't walk through that scanner, the more intense scanner, whatever it's called." I also used my credit card somewhere. My driver's license still has my fat picture, my pre-surgery picture, and I went to use my credit card. It says CID. The lady looked back and forth and back and forth. I couldn't figure out what she was doing while it was taking so long. And then I said to her, "Oh, I lost 149 pounds." And then she still looked a couple times, and then she said, "Congratulations," and gave me my license back. Also at work, when I got back, I had some work done in my backyard. And I live in a townhouse complex, and they have a construction trailer that you're allowed to, like when they ripped up the old deck, they were allowed to throw us in the construction trailers. But the guys that were doing the work were worried about doing that, so I walked over with them. A minivan pulled up with the guy who runs the maintenance, and he parked on the other side, and I waited for him to get out and say something to me, but he didn't, and then he drove off. So I asked the guy who was doing the work, who was up in the top of the truck throwing the lumber over, I asked him what the guy did, and he said he wrote down the name and the number off the side of the truck. So I said, well, if he calls you, just tell him Debbie and 60, blah, blah, blah. So I went upstairs to sew while they were still working on the deck. And I noticed that the head of maintenance, and he was talking to two other guys outside. So I put my shoes on, went outside and said, I noticed that you drove by when the guys were throwing away the dumpster, throwing away the wood. I thought we were allowed to do that. Is there a problem? And he said, no, I saw you standing there. He said, I just don't recognize you. And I said, aren't you Tony? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, and he said, but I've lived here for 12 years and I don't know who you are. And I said, Tony, I live across the street, which I do. Right across, like I can see his house or my house. I said, I live across the street. And don't you remember I was complaining about the landscapers not trimming my bushes? And you said that they didn't do that anymore. You came over at that time. You came over and trimmed them yourself. You don't remember that? And he said, that wasn't you. Yes, it was me. I've lost 150 pounds. So that was nice that he didn't recognize me. I don't go out often. I'm not an outside person, but I do take out the garbage and, go get my mail. So I'm surprised he hasn't seen me, but I guess it's possible he didn't pay attention. But anyway, that was nice. The lady that I went to see, I forget where we were, someplace we went to eat, and I went to the bathroom and she went out to the car. And then when I got out to the car, she said, look inside, do you see the lady in the pink? And I said, yes. And she goes, I thought that was you. And it was a bigger woman. And when we went to this quilt show that's outside, her and her sister, I know them both, said to me a couple times, we weren't looking for you. We were looking for who you used to be. We didn't recognize you coming up. The day that we went to the quilt show, we spent the night before in a hotel, and that morning we got up, we had breakfast at 6:30 at the hotel, and then the bus didn't leave till 8, so I walked. They got on the bus, and I walked. I don't know how many steps, but for a good hour, I walked around the hotel, around and around and around. Got on the bus. The bus trip took an hour. I got off the bus and headed out, walking. This place is huge, huge. 1,500 quilts hanging. Huge. I cannot say how big it is. And at 12:15, I felt my arm vibrate, and I looked down to see what it was. 10,000 steps. I had 10,000 steps at 12:15. It's amazing. Now I only got a little over 15,000 for the day, but the bus left at 2:30. And then we're on the bus for 4 hours trying to get home, so I wasn't surprised about that. But that was my biggest day so far, 15,000 steps. Here's one more NSV. My flight got delayed. There was some issue in Virginia, some control tower or something. My flight got canceled on the way home. It was supposed to be at 11:30 at night, and I already had a 3-hour layover. And luckily, one of my daughters lives very close to there, like 45 minutes away. So I called her, and she came to get me, and then I just made my flight for the next day. So it was kind of nice. I got to see my daughter. I hadn't seen her new house, but whatever. But my luggage did not come with me. My luggage was, well, who knows where. And they said it would get to the airport I was going to before me. It would go the next morning, but my flight wasn't until the next night. So here I am. Luckily, I had my meds. I had my, not meds, but my vitamins. I had all that stuff with me, my toiletries, because I had packed them from my suitcase, so I had those with me, although that wouldn't have mattered. But anyway, I did not have a change of clothes. Now, here's an NSV. It's midnight, and we go to Walmart, and I can buy underwear and a nightgown that fit me. I would never, ever have been able to do that. Then I went went to my daughter's, and she washed the clothes I was wearing, and then I put them back on the next morning. But that really, I just can't say enough how my life has changed. Um, I was concerned before I had surgery. I was concerned about a couple things. One was not ever being able to take steroids again because of when my arthritis gets really bad. But I'm back on my arthritis meds, but it's not that bad. I exercise often, um, 2 or 3 times a week. I was going to the gym. I've been a little off since I came back from vacation, but I'm still getting 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day compared to the 3 I was getting before. So I'm getting exercise. Um, I was concerned about my hair, and I did lose a lot of hair. Don't get me wrong, I lost a lot of hair, but it's growing back. What a shame that I would not have done this. I would not have changed my life so drastically over some hair. Um, I, I'm, I can't tell anybody enough that if you're thinking about having this surgery, to have it. Don't let anything stop you. There's no reason if your doctor approves it that you should not have this surgery. There's nothing to be afraid of. The the things that you gain will so outweigh any negatives. What you have surgery pain for a few days. You can't compare that to how much better you're going to feel all the time. All the time. I think that's all I have to say. Um, I'm not very good about updating these, and that's good because now I have a life. I have more things to do. I get out more. I exercise more. I'm a long arm quilter at night, part time. I'm doing that more. Everything is so much better. My life is just so much better. I cannot say it. So I want to thank everybody who watches. I want to thank everybody whose videos I watched that convinced me that this was the right thing for me to do. Um, all the videos I watched that helped me along the way decide if there was something I should be doing differently. Um, Life is good, people. Life is good. Bye for now.